Kabishi and Fodmap ride on the back of a rickety cart towards the Colton bookkeeper's estate in the Isherheim suburbia, the rolling fields and plains that make up the farmlands around the capital in the Sentochi region. It's a local farmhand who is driving the carriage for you, and you see the estate looming ahead of you on the road. It's made up of one large manor house and a number of smaller outbuildings that you know to contain the records of the Harvesters Guild. There are crops blowing in the breeze either side of you, and a still serenity over the landscape that would tell nothing of the upset and upheaval that you know you're going into. Kabishi, do you describe yourself, please?
I think Kabishi sits now in the back of this carriage. You would see a strong, very upright merfolk gentleman wearing full Guardians Guild regalia. He is armored, and his armor is polished and refined, and has a serious and pensive look upon his face. Everything about him is neat. His hair is tied back, though long and flowing. You can see he's braided it to be sleek and fitting with his polished attire. And he sits now looking down at a small parchment notebook as he makes diligent notes about the investigation he's about to make.
Sat alongside Kabishi, we have Fodmap.
And Fodmap looks almost entirely different for a close colleague of Kabishi. Very large monstrum. Greyish, redding hair around the face, draping down his back. Pig-like snout and short, snarling tusks, befitting of his rotund and just generally quite nasty self. His clothes are still that of Guardian's affair, but rugged. Still ticking all the same boxes, but not well looked after. He's a monstrum that commands authority just at the sight of him. An intimidating presence. Just looking into the sky, thinking, plotting.
As the cart gets closer to the gates to the estate, you see another merfolk, similarly in Guardians Guild regalia, whom you can only assume to be Mastiff Romar. He is leading the investigation thus far and is expecting you. And sure enough, he raises a hand to flag the chariot towards him and to stop. And makes eye contact first with his fellow merfolk, Kabishi. You must be the detectives?
Yes, that's right. And you must be Mastiff, is that right?
That's right, yeah. Welcome. Glad you could make it at such short notice. Sorry, I did get in the notes, but what was your names again?
Hanzik. No, you can call me Hanzik.
Isaac. And
My name's Kabishi. Kabishi-man.
Well, you're about to walk into quite a situation, gentlemen. Please, come on in, I'll show you around and talk you through the situation. And he leads you through the gates, and you stand in the middle of the numerous smaller outhouses with the manor looming up ahead of you. There's a porch area with white stone pillars holding up the roof above large double wooden doors. There are quite a number of armed men stood around each of the buildings, some of them wearing Guardians Guild uniforms and armor, but most not. Though, even those not wearing the armor seem to be wielding or in possession of Guardians Guild equipment. And Mastiff inclines his head towards the groups of men. Yeah, this is the first bit of mess we've ended up in here. Secretary Colton was unhappy that a break-in happened on the second night running, even though Guardians Guild members were present on the estate, and so he's called in some mercenary security.
And do you have much information about where this mercenary security has come from? And whether they are authorized to be using that equipment?
Well, I know pretty much all of them very well there. Basically all off-duty Guardians Guild members.
When you say off-duty...
They're not currently on shift.
Alright.
All hands on deck.
Yes, you could say that.
Were this many of you posted here last night?
No, just the official Guardians Guild members here last night. The extra security turned up today. Look, 2 days ago, Colton calls us because there's been a break-in. His daughter, Winry, she was found screaming in the kitchen. That was last night. The first night she was on the landing upstairs and she said she'd heard something and she was found with all this stuff around her. Things were broken and she didn't remember seeing anyone. So we spent the night here just to give him a bit of peace of mind. Colton seemed happy with that, but despite me and my men being here, we saw nothing. We saw no one. And then in the early hours of the morning, Winry was heard screaming again. This time in a room, and when we got there, the entire room had been ransacked, torn to pieces. She was all right, not a scratch on her, but real shook up, and naturally Colton was furious that somehow someone had gotten in. And now, as a result, he's called in these off-duty Guardians Guild members, and a pretty hefty sum of money has been promised to anyone who can ascertain and secure the individual responsible. Problem is, those who are on duty can't accept a reward that would be considered a bribe. Highly illegal, frankly. It's a tough spot we're in, as you can imagine.
I suppose so. Winry, is that her name?
That's right. Winry Colton.
Where is she now?
I believe she's in an upstairs playroom.
Guarded?
Oh, yeah. My men are mostly inside. Yeah.
And, have you heard from her? What supposedly happened? Who it is that's come into the house?
Well, yesterday she was a little tentatively talkative. But since last night, she hasn't said a word.
So, not much information from her.
Not from her, no. After the first night, she was saying that she didn't see anyone, but she heard noises, and that someone wanted to get out. Well, she didn't make much sense, so she was talking about someone trying to get out.
And the second night, in her room, surely she must have seen the person.
I'm sure she must have, but we can't get a peep out of her.
Okay. Well, where do you suggest we start? Is there anyone immediately available for interview?
I'm sure that Secretary Colton would be delighted to hear that you're here, and might want a word. I should warn you, he's quite angry and a little unstable.
I would be too. This many men, still a break-in.
Yeah, plenty understandable given the circumstances, but also something a bit more.
I think we catch your drift. Before we proceed, do you mind if I have a word with my colleague?
Of course, please. If I will be, I'll take up station on the stairwell, and if you need me, I'll be there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I walk a few steps to the side with Fodmap and lean in close to his side.
So what do you think?
Well, immediately I'm sensing that something is amiss here. It seems like the only person who could possibly say anything about what's happened is the young girl, and she's not saying anything. It seems strange.
Yeah, seems mighty strange, but this many people as well. It ain't making any sense to me.
Well, that's right.
Someone else must have seen something.
Yes, and I think it might just be a matter of prying the information from those who possibly haven't said anything yet.
Right.
The other matter is, of course, Colton himself. Your man Mastiff here seems to think that he may be not in his right mind, if I'm catching his drift.
I will have heard he's an eccentric sort, and the best of times. This mixed with a little bit of natural grief, well, can send any man.
I agree. So, perhaps, and this is not to criticize your method of working in any way, but perhaps we take a special care for sensitivity in this particular incident.
Aye, and you can take the lead on that sensitivity.
I would be glad to.
But just remember, Kabishi, any one of these men here now has a mighty fine motivation for finding out whatever this mystery might be.
Aye, it's true.
There must be a lot of marks on the line, and well, time's bad down here.
Well, that's right. I think that might, in fact, complicate things as we go. Let's be careful about any word or evidence presented to us by these off-duty guildsmen, eh?
Even as you say that, you can feel the eyes of a number of those very men have fallen on you with some suspicion. And one of them, who is leaning a quarterstaff against his shoulder, a quite tall, fey gentleman, has had some quiet words with a group just behind him, and is taking a few steps towards you, just eyeing you cautiously for a moment.
As they do so, I look over to Fodmap. What do I see as he clocks these people?
Fodmap stands up, a lot taller of a sudden, when he notices other eyes creeping upon him. Holds himself up, flexes out his jaw a little bit, baring its fangs ever so slightly, greeting this guardian in his eyes. How can we help you?
Well, I do hope you're not going to be investigating too enthusiastically, gentlemen. You wouldn't want to rob some hard-working free gentlemen of hard-earned reward money, would you?
No, I ain't a criminal. Why would I want to rob anyone?
Well, I'm sure you heard from Mr. Goody Two-Shoes in there. There's a lot of money on the line for those who find the culprit in this here case. How about you guys? Just take it easy. Take a post inside, wait for nightfall, and let us deal with this. We could cut you in.
Oh, you had a fantastic idea. What do you think, Kabishi? Take some money off this wetback we hadn't even met before. Give up our careers, everything we've ever done, all these scars we're wearing. Sounds like a great old trade for some son of a gun we ain't never met.
No.
I would seriously consider the moral justification of even an off-duty guard taking a bribe or a reward.
This is just extra work. That's all it is. We're allowed to work more than one job, you know. Private security.
You may see it like that, but, well, I don't think a true Guardians Guild member would take that moral stance on what you're trying to do.
Alright, I'm not interested in your moral preaching. I'm interested in making some money. And if you're not, fine. Just let me do what I'm here to do.
You know, I'm just interested in finding out what's going on here. If that gets in the way of you making money, so be it.
I understand. You do what you've got to do. Me and my friends here will do the same. Sound fair?
Fodmap just looks over him, straight above his head, to the... How many people stood behind him, roughly?
He came from a group of another 4 men.
And 4. Just stands up, tall enough to look head over head, and the men behind him. Does a guttural... and does not look again at this so-called guardian.
Roll me an intimidation check, please.
That'll be a natural 20 for a total of 24.
You almost immediately can see the group of 4 men turn towards each other and whisper hurriedly. And then one of them calls out, "Runer, come on back over here." And apparently Runer takes 3 steps backwards without turning away from you, before turning and quickly retreating back to his friends. And they are whispering and looking over their shoulders at you, far more coyly than they were eyeing you up earlier.
As we turn our bodies slightly away from the group, still trying to maintain a strong stature, I lean slightly forward to Fodmap and say, "I think the spit on the ground was overmuch."
Well, it really sent them running, didn't it?
I suppose.
They seem almost too cowardly to pull off a trick like this, though.
Yes, I suppose. Greed is a trait of a coward. Eh?
On that we agree.
Well, let's do what we said we were going to, and talk to old Colton.
Lead the way.
And I head over towards said stairwell that Mastiff said that he was going to be in.
Mastiff went through the front doors
Great.
and has left it slightly ajar.
I will head straight in there.
As you push through the still ajar door, you step into a very large hallway. Seems to double as like a almost banquet room. There's a long rectangular table stretching in the back 2/3 from where you are, a kind of entryway that leads straight into the dining area. But on the left-hand side of the room is a stairwell leading straight up to a mezzanine hallway above. And you can see some bookshelves lining the walls of the floor above you, even from here, and a couple of doors on the back wall there. And doorways kind of scattered around the walls of this large banquet hallway. And sure enough, Mastiff is stood on the stairwell about halfway up, catches your eye as you come in, and just inclines his head towards the door directly on your left, which is slightly ajar, and you're able to see what looks like a sliver of a study or an office through the crack that it's open.
And as we look around this large entranceway area, are there any signs of said break-in here, or is that left for other locations in this building?
Roll me a perception check.
That's a 17, I believe.
With 17, you look around at all of the fixtures, the furniture in this room, and there's no immediate sign of any damage or anything missing. You can hear something coming from the kitchen. There's an awful lot of rustling of metal pans and perhaps crockery going on in there. And following with your eyes to where that sound is coming from, it does look like there's been some banging on the door that would lead to the kitchen, you presume, on the right, further up the hallway.
As in physical signs on the door?
Yes. It looks like scratch marks. They're not big. They're visible from across the room.
High up the door. Low
Around
to
the
ground.
handle of the door.
Well, certainly, if Fodmap hadn't already seen this, I would subtly incline my head towards the door of the kitchen to indicate it to him.
And he walk on over. Lean down low and take a closer look. Reach his hand down. Flake at the scratches a little bit. Recent.
Investigation check for me.
And 11.
The scratches, they are clearly relatively fresh. There's still some splinters that you might expect to have worn off over time if these were older scratches. But they are almost all focused around the handle. And so in some sense, they look like they might be the kind of scratches that could build up over time if people were trying to open a door at night in the dark and missing the handle. But they're a little more desperate. But they're not so deep or so large that they couldn't have been made by a normal person who would live in such a home.
And the handle itself then. Twist it. Does it open like normal?
It does. And there are very little signs of any struggle on the brass handle itself.
And twisting it the other way. Further around as much as you can.
It all seems to work as normal.
Interesting. Correct me, you didn't say there was a lock, did you, on this? Just
It's not locked. There isn't a locking mechanism on it.
And there's still sounds of rattling coming from behind.
Yes.
I would gently nod my head as to indicate to Fodmap that Maybe you should take a small peek inside.
Let me creep it open gently.
Glancing inside, you see a generously sized kitchen with a central island and cupboards all along the central island, as well as along the counters, along each of the longer walls of the rectangular room. And on the floor, throughout the room right now, are little piles of broken crockery, cutlery, and handles of pans kind of brushed into little piles. And working away in the room, you see an elderly Duragar woman with her hair tied up in a tight bun, an apron tucked over a simple dress. You imagine a housekeeper, perhaps a chef, working here. And she is working through equipment from the kitchen scattered all over the floor, and either adding broken parts to one of the piles or tucking them back away into cupboards, some of which are hanging from their hinges and will need repair.
Upon seeing this scene, I think Kabishi takes a step forward into the room, projecting his voice towards this elderly Duragar woman. Excuse me, I'm sorry to disturb you.
I'm not done tidying up yet.
No, it's okay. Carry on. We're from the Guardians Guild.
Yes, you've been here for the last 2 days.
Sorry, yes, we're different people.
Different people?
We've come from the Royal Council. I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions.
Will it take long? I've got to get the kitchen ready to make some dinner.
I understand. I won't take too much of your time. What's caused this mess here?
Did you just arrive? We've had a break-in the last 2 nights.
Sure. And, when you came upon the mess, what did it look like? What sorts of things have they damaged?
Well, everything. Look, every cupboard has been opened, everything has been pulled out, everything is thrown on the floor and smashed, anything that could be reached.
I see. Sorry, what was your name?
I am the housekeeper, I'm Senza.
Senza. Thanks for talking to me, Senza. How long have you worked here?
Yeah. Longer than you've been alive, let me tell you.
Well, I respect your profession, honestly.
To be fair, I haven't worked in this particular house quite that long, but I attended to Lady Colton in her childhood and until her passing.
I see. So you've been with the family a long time?
Yes, a very long time.
And you know this kitchen well enough to know if something had been taken, perhaps?
This is my kitchen. I prepare every meal, of course.
And was anything stolen?
Not that I have noticed. It's either broken or, by the grace of whatever Mamu spirit protected it, recoverable.
Well, thank goodness for that, at least.
There wasn't much that was protected by the Mamu spirits.
Well, you know this family probably better than anyone else we're going to talk to. Could you tell us if someone was going to do something like this? Who would it be?
I mostly just feed the people that come into this house. I don't do much talking to them.
You must know something.
There are plenty of people, I imagine, who might want the kinds of information that Secretary Colton has here. The whereabouts and passings on of great wealth and resources, food and the like, equipment. But that's only the kind of thing that any petty thief might want to know. I don't know of any personal vendettas.
Okay. And I look over to Fodmap.
Who is, the last few moments, been pacing around the kitchen, picking up the odd broken thing, checking doors as he's walking around, just physically and visually getting a closer look at everything in this kitchen. Still obviously listening with a side ear, but trying to determine if this is sincere chaos or if there's any design to this mess.
Roll me an investigation check. And there may be another roll depending on how this goes.
21.
21. A lot has been tidied up already. But as you're looking at the doors to each of the cupboards and a few of the drawers that have been pulled out or damaged, you can't help but notice that it's only the drawers and cupboards along the lower cabinets that have been opened or damaged, and that there's no visible damage on any of the cabinets above the worktops. And that on 21, you notice that none of the cutting utensils that you would expect to see in a kitchen are visible anywhere. There are no knives. There's no knife block on the worktops. None in sight.
I imagine then as Kabishi looks over towards Fodmap, you'll hear him say, "I thought you said nothing was taken, miss."
Yes?
Your knives. Where are they?
Are you a father?
That's a complicated question.
I apologize. I don't mean to pry. Only that if you have a child in the house who likes to help in the kitchen, you keep the knives out of reach.
And she walks to a cupboard near the door you came into, opens it, and pretty much every sharp implement you could imagine using in a kitchen is still neatly tucked away and organized into blocks and little hooks hanging on the cupboard and within the storage facility there.
In this cupboard, high in the room.
Yes.
Oh, well, of course, forgive me. Seems a little bit strange, though, that a criminal can even reach the top shelf.
I suppose there may have been some. I think there was an open cupboard on the top, but now that you mention it, I don't think.
Are you certain? Could you say for sure there was an open cupboard.
Oh, I think so. I was not worried about the kitchen first thing. I found Winry in here screaming, and I come in and I scoop her up and I encourage her and close a few cupboards and tell her not to worry. I don't know for sure. I'm sorry if I've tampered with something I shouldn't. I was...
No, of course not. Don't worry. Thank you. So you were the one to find Winry?
Yes. On both days.
Really?
I'm her nanny now, too.
Of course. So, on the first night, you found her here, is that right?
Yes.
Did she say much to you?
Oh, she was screaming and telling me mostly she didn't know what happened and that she was scared. She said something. She has bad dreams. Sometimes. Especially since her mother passed. And she was talking like she'd had a bad dream, but clearly something more had happened.
And, the second night, similar?
She was still in her room. I was the first there, and she was even more upset. Everything was thrown everywhere, things that she loved and cherished, torn and...
And, you finding her, I know that must have been quite a traumatic situation. You might not have paid too much attention, but did you see any signs of entry or something that might have been left behind by someone who came in?
I was focused on the Winry. When I got there was the guardian stood at her door, but the door was slightly ajar behind him, and I pushed through. He had called me because she was so upset, but he didn't think that it was possible anyone was in the room.
And those windows, they still closed? Nice and firm?
Yes. I didn't check them right away when I went in, but the guardians came in soon after, and that was the first place they checked. There was, I believe, guardians outside as well.
Forgive me for the implication. Do you think there's a chance this could have been done by Winry herself?
Why would she destroy her own things?
It's true, I don't know.
And you are both lucky to not know grief.
Winry knows grief.
Aye. And I'm sure she's mighty capable of...
The letters she received from her mother were torn to pieces in her room.
Well, thank you for your time, madam. I think it's about time that we spoke to Mr. Colton.
I had best get to cleaning up and making the dinner.
Sorry for keeping you. We appreciate it.
I presume you're here for food?
If we're still here by lunch.
If
then.
you're in this house, then I feed you.
Thank you.
We're grateful. We'll see you soon then.
Out of my hair.
Gone. Thank you, madam. And we promptly leave.
The moment you step out into the hallway, you will see now, leaning in the doorway to the office that Mastiff had inclined his head towards, is a tall, slender monstrum gentleman with a set of horns pointing nearly straight up directly above his temples out of a shag of what you would normally expect to be a well-kept, slicked, black set of hair that is quite disheveled right now. Despite that, he's wearing a stiff-collared white shirt and a slim-fitting, straight-cut pair of black trousers, and wrapped unkemptly around his neck is a rather splendid and colorful cravat tucked into his shirt. The cravat almost shines iridescently. It's quite a statement. And he is cross-armed, leaning on the doorframe, tapping a foot, looking attentively towards the door that you exit from the kitchen.
Ah, Mr. Colton, I believe.
You would be right. The detectives from the Guardians Guild, I presume?
You would be right.
I normally am. You've done interviewing my staff. You deem it appropriate to speak to me now?
Yes, we were just heading towards your room.
Good, come in. And with that, Colton takes a step into his office, leaving the door open, moving with an impatience.
And sensing that sort of bubbling impatience and slight anxiousness from Colton, I'm gonna lean over to my partner. In a low voice, I'll say, definitely leave the talking to me for now, if that's okay. And I'll proceed. This has been The Kingdom Sleeps, with Andrew Bond as Kabishi, Tom Tysoe as Fodmap, and Brandon Kemeny as your humble story master. Make sure to subscribe and follow for the second and final part of this adventure in a couple of weeks' time. And if you'd like to help support the amazing artists who make this show possible, you can find links to our Patreon in the description below. Thanks so much for joining us, and good night.